Hi guys, and welcome back to On the Fence. The new Premier League season is upon us. It's that time again, where all the excitement starts. The possibilities are endless. This, that, the other. And yeah, it's a new bout of Premier League fixtures starting today, Friday, where Manchester United kick off against Leicester City. So I'm just gonna do a quick video previewing the season, previewing this weekend of the season, and then of course every Monday and Tuesday I'm possibly going to be doing like a review with a couple of friends. Maybe in podcast form or in video form. It depends really what comes about. So that's something to look forward to. Of course, work commitments may get in the way of that, but I'm going to try my absolute best to be as consistent as possible for this forthcoming season, because it's going to be a very exciting season in my opinion. So yeah, today is just a little preview of the games to come, and how I think they're going to go out. I did do a table predictor yesterday. Tried to upload it to YouTube, but it didn't seem to want to upload. So I've sacked it off, and I'm just going to do this instead. So we're going to come into the first fixture of the league, and it is Manchester United kicking off the Premier League season against Leicester City. Good game to start with. Last season I think it was Leicester against Arsenal at the Emirates, and it ended up 4-3 to Arsenal. So if we can have a game similar to that, then that'll be great. Talking quickly on the two teams, Manchester United coming into this game, a lot of sort of inconsistent behaviour from Mourinho. 1 minute he's praising his team, the next minute, he's talking about how he's disappointed with his youth players and his lack of playing time between his first 11, because of the World Cup. But that happens. You're a manager, you've got to deal with these sort of things, and he seems to be very antsy with everybody. And I just feel like it's going to come off negatively to the rest of the squad. And, as a Liverpool fan, I really, really hope so. So, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully Man United can get beaten this weekend. And, I'm looking at this game. I was looking at Leicester, and then, of course, Mahrez now is the big omission. They've sold him to Manchester City for around £60 million. They haven't really replaced him directly with someone of that quality. So they're going into this game, with lack of firepower. They've still got Vardy, but the player that linked up with Vardy a lot was Mahrez. So can they replicate the goals? Can they share that around the team? I'm not so sure. Manchester United are a strong side. They really are. So I'm going to look at this game, and I'm probably going to say, maybe 2-1 to Manchester United. That's what I'm thinking. They might nick it late. They've got obviously the players come back. The players like Lukaku. Will he play in this game? Paul Pogba's will he play either? It's all touch and go for them at this moment in time, but I feel like Manchester United on paper, no matter who they sort of pick, because they've got a good set of young players. That's the downside to Mourinho's comments. If they put out a strong enough side, they will get the job done against the Claude Pro Leicester. But yeah, maybe a 2-1 to Manchester United is what I'm going to go with. I'm hoping for a draw or a Leicester defeat, but let's be real. They're still a good side regardless. And then we'll move into Saturday afternoon, where Newcastle will host Tottenham Hotspur in the second game of the Premier League. Newcastle, of course, the chairman's not really backing Rafa Benitez at Newcastle. The squad's looking okay. They've practically done a swap deal for Mitrovic for Rondon in a way. They've sent Mitrovic out to Fulham, which is for Fulham is a good signing. We'll get to them in a minute. It's a great signing for them. And they've replaced him with Rondon. Now, I think Rondon's a good player. He can be good anyway, but he's just been relegated with West Brom. Can he really, motivate himself again at Newcastle? To me, it just screams of, let's get the cheapest player available. I think Mike Ashley's done a real bad job as being the chairman of Newcastle, and it could potentially see them, being really, really close to the bottom of the league, and really be embroiled in a relegation battle this season, which I don't want, because I really like Newcastle as a city and as a fan base and as a club. I do really like them, but it's just a shame that Rafa hasn't really got a lot to work with. Coming up against a very strong Spurs side, regardless of whether they've added to the squad or not, they have got an incredible squad. Part of the best back four, really. They've definitely got the best centre half in the league, Toby Alderweireld. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's rumoured to go to Manchester United. One of the reasons why Mourinho, of course, isn't very happy with the business so far is because Alderweireld has stayed at Spurs. The window shut yesterday. So all the deals have been done. So the squads as they are now is where they are. So Alderweireld has stayed at Tottenham. Can he get himself back up? Because of course he did have that injury towards the end of the season. Quite a long layoff. And if Spurs can start the season well, and I've got no reason why they can't really finish in the top 4, I think they're a great side, like I said, regardless of adding to the squad. They've got good youth coming through as well, so Pochettino's a great manager, and I feel like Spurs will do well once again. So yeah, maybe probably looking at maybe a 2-1 win to Spurs again. I think this weekend's going to be really tight. There's a lot of tight games in there. Especially towards the latter part. So it'll be interesting to see how Newcastle shape up, and it'll also be interesting to see how Spurs shape up with the pretty much a similar squad. But I still think they can go again. And any team that's got Harry Kane have definitely got a chance. So yeah, that's my prediction: 2-1 Spurs. Next game is Bournemouth versus Cardiff. I like Bournemouth, I really do. I think last season they picked up a real good habit of winning games late on, or picking up points from losing positions very late on in the season, and that's a good little thing to have. That's a good habit to keep. They're coming up against the Cardiff side, who newly promoted, finished second in the league, I think, in the Championship behind Wolves. They've huffed and they've puffed in the transfer window. They've bought a few players from the Championship who've got the potential to be good, but I feel like in this first season in the Premier League, you need to be buying real quality to give yourself the best chance of staying up, rather than risking it. And I feel like that's what Cardiff have done here. They've risked it. They've got a few loan signings in. They've signed from the Championship and maybe below, and that's just not the quality that you need in the Premier League. I really think Cardiff will struggle, and I'm looking here probably a 2-0 win to Bournemouth. Okay, so moving on. Fulham versus Crystal Palace, already a derby game for the first game of the season, which is great. I still remember a 4-1 win for Fulham against Crystal Palace away in 2014. So when I look at Fulham Crystal Palace, that's the game I think of, which is going to be a real cracker to start the season off for these two sides, which is great. Fulham, obviously, are the home team in this. Their business this year has been fantastic. Up there again, I'm going to mention Wolves. Everyone talks about Wolves and how good their squad is, how good their business has been. But I think Fulham, in particular, have done even just as good business, if not even better. Getting Mitrovic back on a permanent deal, I think. Ryan Sessegnon's one of the hottest young players in the world. Look, I know he only did it in the Championship, but any player at 17 years of age who can win Player of the Year in any division, is definitely got a bright future ahead. And Fulham have got him still. He never moved anywhere, probably because they were promoted. And yeah, I can just see like a really good season for Fulham. Can they get the job done? First game of the season against the Palace side, who they look reinvigorated under Roy Hodgson after last year. A terrible year last year at the start. Winless in 6, I think it was, under Frank de Boer. And now, Roy Hodgson's come in. It seems like a match made in heaven, to be honest. Very, very similar to the way it was with Roy Hodgson at Fulham a few years ago. They just seem made for each other. And, Zaha didn't get the move he wanted. That was one of the reasons for me why I kind of felt like Crystal Palace aren't going to do as well. Plus, Benteke doesn't really seem to be scoring. He doesn't seems to just be a shade of that player at Aston Villa that they signed from Liverpool. So, it's whether they can get themselves back up again. I'm looking probably at a 1-1 draw in this game. I think both sides are going to cut each other's throats, and I think it's just going to be a sort of a dead rubber game, because neither side's going to want to lose, especially the first game of the season, but also because it's a derby game. Both sides from London, so it's it's going to be very tight, I think, this game, and I think it's going to end 1-1. Next game is Huddersfield versus Chelsea. Huddersfield being the home side. Had a great season last year, surviving the Premier League. David Wagner's done a great job. They play very good football. They haven't really strengthened the way you'd want them to. They've still got Steve Mounier up front, who isn't very prolific, if I'm completely honest. Coming up against a strong side in Chelsea with a new manager, a new transition, possibly a new era for Chelsea. Either that, or it could be a manager who's sacked by Christmas. You never know. I feel like this turnover in managers for Chelsea may come back to haunt them one day, and could it be this year with Sarri? We don't know, but all we do know is that he plays very good football. He's a very expansive manager, likes to press from the front, and he's brought in the players he's wanted. Now Jorginho's come in for the midfield. He's going to be a focal point of their team, and they've signed that a few other players to boot as well. They've kept Hazard, which is the real the real big news for Chelsea. Keeping Hazard, similar to Harry Kane before at Spurs. If you've got Eden Hazard on your side, you've definitely got a chance. And these are the players that, if I was to completely take me Liverpool hat off and look as an Englishman, you know, as an English person, you know, that's what you want. You know, you want the better players to stay in the Premier League, and of course, I know Hazard has never really got, you know, he hasn't really got a fantastic goal record every year, but you know, he is still a fantastic player who can light up any game of football, and you know, it's great to see players like him staying in this division. So, yeah, I'm looking at this game. As much as I really want the bigger sides to drop points, I feel like this is probably a 3-1 win for Chelsea. I think they didn't really hit the heights last week against Manchester City, but I feel like, you know, an easier start for Chelsea, and Sarri can definitely get his tactics into the players' heads. And yeah, I feel like Chelsea have got too much quality for Huddersfield, so 3-1 win is my prediction. Next up, we've got Watford-Brighton, which doesn't seem to be a very exciting game on paper. Watford have just lost Richarlison to Everton for 35 million, leading to 50. Brighton, you know, Chris Hughton's a good manager, very good manager, did a great job last year. They were very solid. You know, not really much I can say about these two sides because I don't really know a lot. All I know is that Watford seem to be very adamant in changing the managers every single year, no matter how successful they do, and similar to Chelsea in that regard, where, you know, maybe it might catch up to them, and this could be a year where Watford really go low down in the Premier League. But they've got players who can get them out of trouble. Similar to Brighton, Izquierdo was a good shining light for them last year. Also was Glenn Murray, who's, you know, very old, but you know, he knows where the back of the net is, so that's an important thing for Brighton. This game to me seems like it's going to be like a 1-1 or a 2-2. So I'm gonna go 1-1. To be honest, there's not a lot of firepower on show here, but could still be potentially a good game because it's two teams that are going to be there and thereabouts in the similar positions. Of course, second year for Brighton, similar to Huddersfield. So you know, can they get themselves back up again? And you know, this is always going to be the hardest season for them to stay up this time around. You know, done well last year to stay up. So you know, like I said, this could be a real strong year for either Brighton or Huddersfield. So like I said, Watford, Brighton 1-1. And then the late kickoff on the day, on Saturday, is Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Everton. Now, I've got a few mates who are Everton supporters. They're the lads who are possibly going to be involved in some of my videos of the reviews of Premier League, so I've got to be kind to them. And of course, I personally, you know, without their influence, I'm very impressed with Everton's window, as I am Wolves as well. I'm very impressed with Wolves' season last year. So this game's going to be a very good game, I think, in prospect. You know, Wolves play very good football. They've got very good players. You know, they play a very good brand of football. And Marco Silva at Everton is very similar. You know, a manager that I do like personally. If he didn't have the ties to Everton, then I'd probably like him even more. But this game, to me, I think it's going to be a very good game of football. It's live, of course, on BT Sport. So, you know, the cameras are going to be on both sides. What's going to happen? Well, it's at Molineux. So, I'm looking for, like I said, I'm looking for a very good game. Maybe Wolves might just nick it. Not too sure. My mates won't be happy with that. Sorry, the focus has just gone. Yeah, my mates won't be too happy, but I think maybe Wolves might just nick it 2-1. Yeah, it's going to be a very tight game, I think, but I just think first game of the season, Everton's signings only just come in. You know, they're not going to have a real impact on the game, so it's pretty much going to be a case of the old guard for the first couple of games of the season for Everton. So, yeah, I'm probably looking at Wolves maybe snatching this one 2-1, which will be good for them anyway. Newly promoted side, off to a good start. Then we have on Sunday the 12th, the first kickoff, well, the first two kickoffs. We have Liverpool versus West Ham United. Actually, no, I'm going to leave that till last. I'm leaving it till last. Southampton Burnley. Not a game that inspires you either, but Southampton, of course, have just signed Danny Ings from Liverpool. They're a side who struggled last year. They've got a manager now in Mark Hughes who doesn't inspire you, really, does he? But having said that, he had about 3 or 4 great years at Stoke until the end, of course. You know, can he now find this? You know, can he find this club to be his club now and be the club that he stays with and does something good with? Probably not. But you know, you can always dream, you can always hope as a Southampton fan. I like Southampton as a club and I really hope they do well, but coming up against a very solid Burnley side, a very well drilled Burnley side, Sean Dyche is an excellent manager, deserves the praise, definitely deserves the praise. Maybe a 2-1 to Burnley I'm looking at here. You know, the Europa League hangover, will it happen for Burnley? it could do. Not a lot of experience in that squad in European football. They played Thursday night, got a 0-0 draw away in Istanbul. Istanbul. No, they got a draw away in Istanbul. So can they come into this game, away at Southampton and get 3 points? I think it'll be very difficult for them, because a quick turnover in games. But I've got a lot of confidence in this Burnley side because a lot of people writ them off last year, but they still finished in European places. So yeah, I think 2-1 win to Burnley in my opinion. Then we have the big one. It's Arsenal versus Manchester City, the champions, with an away trip to the Emirates to face a Unai Emery side who are very much under a resurgence, really, aren't they? This game's probably going to be the game of the weekend. Well, you hope anyway. And I hope personally that Arsenal do a number on Manchester City because they are our closest rivals now, especially after our business this year. So yeah, Arsenal have done a bit of decent business in my opinion. I don't think it's as good as they're cracking up. It's cracking up to be. They've signed Europa League type players in my opinion. You want a new manager to come in and really bring in players that inspire you, and I just think Lichtsteiner, as experienced as he is in Champions League as well, he's not going to really do it. He's not going to get into that squad and be a first choice, is he? He's probably there for the experience, but he's 35 years of age. I think the Premier League's going to be too quick for him. Socrates, very similar. He was good under Klopp in Dortmund, but he seems to have gone a bit downhill. And Leno as well. They've needed a new goalkeeper. Look, fair enough to Arsenal. They've strengthened in positions that they've needed, and that's one thing you can say. So, can Emery get them playing good football? He was very good for Sevilla a few years ago. Liverpool fans will remember Basel very well. Unai Emery was the manager then. So, can he do a good job at Arsenal? Coming up against the Manchester City side that they broke the records last year. Can they go again? One more. I personally think that this year they're probably going to look at Champions League more than they're going to look at the Premier League, and I hope that too, which will hopefully give Liverpool a bit of an easier run in the Premier League, but it's not going to be easy, not by any stretch. I think Manchester City have got all the tools in this to win this game and every other game. It's going to be very difficult. I think it's probably going to be a 2-2 draw. I just think, the buzz around at the Emirates with a new manager, facing against the champions, I think the level's going to be raised, and I think this is going to be a good game to watch. Yeah, and I think it's more in hope. I feel like City could win this, probably more than Arsenal would, but 2-2 draws what I'm going to go for. I'm going to stick on the fence. That's the name of the channel. That's why. Then the big one, the one and only. Now I'm a Liverpool fan, of course. That's why this is the last game on my preview. Liverpool at home to West Ham United. If you look at some of the other games, this is probably one of the more favourable. You look at Spurs, they're away. Manchester United, they've got Leicester are a decent side. Chelsea are away at Huddersfield, and City have Arsenal. So, in my opinion, we've got the more favourable game. At home, in front of the Kop, in front of Anfield. The eyes are on us on Sky Sports as well. So it's going to be a tough game for us, but against quite a good side as well in West Ham. They're not going to be an easy side. We've strengthened in the areas we've needed to. We've got a whole new midfield now, and a new goalkeeper to boot. So, we've made the signings we've needed to make, and I'm very, very excited about this season. By all accounts, this is the strongest chance we've ever had to win the league, and in my opinion, this is the year that we probably can win the league. It's probably going to be a lot more focused on what City can't do. Because I feel like, we are going to pick up points here and there, but, if City can replicate what they did last year, we've got no chance at all. But I'd definitely like to run them close. And if City can slip up in a few games, then, we can hopefully smell blood, and Klopp's perfectly positioned as the manager of Liverpool to, smell blood and capitalise on that. So hopefully we can. Hopefully we can, pip City to the title this year. In my table predictions, I did predict Liverpool to win the league. It's going to be very close, and hopefully we can. This is going to be hopefully a season to remember for Liverpool Football Club, and I'm going to go bold very quickly, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win against West Ham United, who have made very good signings. They have a very good manager in Pellegrini, very experienced. He's got a bad rap after the way it ended at City, but I still think they're a good side. They've made very good signings. It's not going to be easzy, but if we can get into our rhythm, which we've showed in the last 2 pre-season games, and I know it's only pre-season, but take who we were playing against. We played against Napoli, we battered them 5-0. We played against Torino and beat them 3-0. And at times we were playing such sensational football, but I wouldn't be surprised if we went into this one and just sort of limped over the finish line. That's great. I'd take a 1-0. To be honest, first game of the season, you just got to make sure you get that win. And if we can start off with a win, then who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, that's my opinion anyway. So a 3-1 win to Liverpool, and hopefully we can start the season top of the league. That'll be great. So that was my video, guys. Thank you very much. That was my preview for the Premier League season. Fixtures number 1. So yeah, looking forward to the weekend ahead, and yeah, hopefully you guys can look forward to the review on probably Tuesday night it's going to come out. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think down below. Who you think's going to win the league, what you think's going to happen, and who you think's going to win these round of fixtures. That'll be great. If you like the video, please click the thumbs up, because that'll be very much appreciated. It shows that you guys like what's in front of you. That's great. And also, if you can click the subscribe button, that'll be helpful too. Yeah, so I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. I've been on the fence. Take care.